everyone, and welcome to prompt number 51. Did you like the new intro? If there's not a new intro because I'm too busy, this is going to be embarrassing. Alright, let's get into the prompt. We have, hot dog and Venus flytrap. This should be fun. I'm kind of excited about this one. Here we go. So I was excited because hot dog was one of the prompts, but then as I started to sketch, wasn't feeling it. I'm tired. I'm wasted. I love you, darling. Okay, I'm sorry, that was a The Room quote, and I do apologize for that. Hot dog is such a funny word and such a funny thing to draw, and I was just so excited to draw a hot dog, but ooh man, that's sketch challenge situation. Oof. So with the first prompt, I did try to do something like a guy standing around at a party eating a hot dog, and someone had a really big Venus flytrap plant that took a bite of his hot dog. Just a little goofy scene. For the second one, I went for something where there was a Venus flytrap eating a bunch of different snacks like hot dog, coffee, sandwich, different other stuff. But as usual, I just wasn't feeling any of these ideas, and I didn't know what to do. So, as I do, I went to my friends to complain and whine and cry about my situation, and Shane gave me this really good idea. If you don't know who Shane is, he is one of my moderators during my stream, so I'll link all of his social media stuff down below. I already had the Venus flytrap eating hot dogs, and I don't know, I needed to, I guess, make a more simplified illustration, and he gave me the idea of making the Venus flytrap a hot dog bun. So it kind of looks like the Venus flytrap is still eating a hot dog, but this way it's kind of like the Venus flytrap is a hot dog bun. So I played around with that idea to get a more simplified illustration, and I just wanted to focus on making a simple Venus flytrap illustration with no stress and just making a cute illustration and going with it. Because it was so simple, I also had the idea of making a real-time video. I'm not sure if many people are really going to be down to clown with a 25-minute video, but a lot of people have been interested in real-time footage, so I thought, why not? Since this is a simple illustration and it probably won't take me that long, I'll just go ahead and make this one real-time, and I don't know what I'm going to do for the whole 25 minutes. I will try to talk your ear off, but if there are times where I don't know what to say, I'm probably just going to get the music to get louder, and I will interfere during the video when I have something to say about the process. So if you can't tell already, I'm kind of a slow process person. I really like to make my stuff look clean and nice, so I go really slowly to make sure that I have enough control over the pen. So I was pretty worried, even though this was a very simplified illustration, I was pretty concerned about this being a very, very long video. But I thought this would be a really fun one-off situation. This is also kicking off the quote-unquote second season of the prompt videos. I have actually wanted to change the intro to this prompt series for a very long time. I've never really liked the music. I thought it was just kind of loud and obnoxious and just a little too much for my style. So I thought about making a new intro for every season, which I am going to just go ahead and say is every 50 episodes because it's a good even number. I used to post prompts twice a week, which meant that I would do around 100 episodes a year, but now that I'm only doing one episode a week, it's going to take me a whole year to get a new intro. So buckle up because this intro is going to be around for about a year. So if you're wondering what kind of eraser I use to get rid of the pencil, it is a kneaded eraser. It's kind of like putty. It is very stretchable and you can smush it around, and I really like to use it for picking up pencil when I'm working with ink. These pens say they are smudge free, but to be honest, I can't risk it. I've had too many experiences where I rub a regular eraser on my pens and it ends up smearing the ink, and that's just not a fun situation to be in with your illustrations. So I just decided to start using kneaded erasers because you can easily just roll them over the pencil and it picks them up. That's why I'm doing that weird rolly motion while erasing the pencil, but like I said, it's just not worth the risk to smear it all over the ink and have it smear, and I didn't even test it with these pens. These are actually the pens that I got in the most recent Scrawler box that I posted. These are Spectrum Noir art liner pens, and I said in the Scrawler box video that I did want to try these out with watercolor because they claim to be waterproof and smudge proof. So I did want to try them out, and here I am trying them out with my watercolors, and yep, They seem to be really good with waterproof, so I trust them. They also claim to be light fast and quick drying, which honestly, they only dried for maybe 10 minutes before I started putting watercolor on them, so they seem to be drying pretty quickly. So I had no issues with the ink on this pen smearing or I guess reactivating with the watercolor, so it was really nice being able to not worry about the pen smearing with the watercolor. There are some fine liners that I've tried that claim to be waterproof, but even when you put the watercolor over them, it still kind of reactivates and it doesn't smudge too badly, but you can see where the black of the ink kind of smears along with the watercolor if you go over it too many times. So I put down the flat for the flower pot, and here I am putting the flat down for the red of the Venus flytrap. I have to say, I really struggled a lot when drawing a Venus flytrap. I don't know what it is. I think it's just that they're so flat, so it's really weird to imagine what they look like when they open. So I don't know why, but I was really excited to draw a Venus flytrap, but every time I tried to draw it, I just couldn't get it to look right, or I don't know. I just didn't like the way it looked. So when Shane gave me the idea of making the Venus flytrap the hot dog bun over the hot dog, I thought that would be really easy to simplify over the hot dog. Originally, I was thinking about going even more simpler than this and using a piece of paper that was even half the size, but I figured I would go, what is this, 5.5 by 7, I think? Nope, I think it's 5.5 by 7. I guess I'll check. I'm only going to leave this in because I need 25 minutes of audio. Oh, it's 5 by 7. I'm an idiot. If you're still somehow listening to this, I will probably put this piece on my store envy, so keep an eye out for that. In fact, maybe I'll even put it up before this video even goes live. Who knows what I'll do. I guess I'm going to go really in-depth with the process talking about situation because, again, I have 25 minutes to fill up. So when I was mixing the green color for the Venus flytrap, I really was tempted to make a sap green color. I love sap green, what can I say? But when I was looking up reference pictures for Venus flytraps, I couldn't help but notice that they are quite a bright green color, so unfortunately, had to go bright green, which was fine. With the hot dog being kind of a darker orangey brown color, I guess it was nice to have a brighter green color that contrasted it. Plus the bright green was really complementing to that brightish orangish brown color, so I guess it worked out alright. Plus that red of the mouth. So filling up the Venus flytrap, probably should use a bigger brush, but as I said before, I really like to have control over my strokes and I like to stay as inside the lines as I can, so using a small brush is something of a bad habit that I need to practice getting out of. So I thought it would be more interesting to mix in a darker color that faded into the light of the leaf, so I mixed a darker green color, which looking at the dried piece now, you can barely even tell it's a thing I did. It dried so much lighter than that dark green color looks, and yep, you can barely tell that I even put that dark green fading, so good job me, you really did that well. When it comes to really simple illustrations like this, I sometimes think it's good to add a gradient or just something that has more detail and visual interest, like those gradient leaves. There's not a whole lot of texture or anything going on with this plant, so why not slap a gradient on the leaves? It might add just a little bit of something to make it a little bit more interesting. Which is also what I did to the planter. I put little dots that created a sort of texture to make it look like it had been used a lot, maybe it's been bumped here or there, just to keep the illustration not as a super flat, color, boring piece. I actually meant to do this on the leaves, and now that I'm looking at the finished piece, I didn't do that to the leaves, but you know what? I will survive. So because I have 25 minutes of audio to fill up, let's talk about the prompt series. What do you guys think about that new intro? Like I mentioned, the song was just a little too crazy and a little too loud for me in the last intro, so I have been wanting to change that thing for a few months at this point, but I thought either starting off the new year would be a good time to change the song, or I got the idea to do it at a certain number because that's kind of how series work, I suppose. You have a certain amount of episodes in a season or whatever, so changing it every 50 episodes would be a good idea. And for those of you who ask about me doing 500 prompt videos, it's not going to be 500 prompt videos because I am doing it page by page. And because a lot of these pages have 2 or 3 prompts per a page, that means that I'm not going to have 500 episodes in the series. I was curious to see how many episodes I would end up making out of this series, so I counted all of the pages, and there are 236 pages in this book. That means I will be making 236 episodes in this series, so if I make one episode per week, that is roughly under 5 years. 5 years of my life I will be making these videos. And I guess it really depends on if I decide to do more during a week. Like when I first started, I was doing 2 episodes a week. Or if I stopped making the videos, like during Inktober, I didn't make any prompt videos. So it's give or take 5 years of doing this if I continue doing this until I finish this book. That is really crazy to think about. 5 years of my life are going to be drawing in this 500 drawing prompt series. That's so crazy to think about. Do you know how much my style is going to change in 5 years? My style has changed so much in the past year, I can't imagine what this book will look like within the next 5 years. That's going to be quite a trip. I also do want to do a sort of sketchbook tour with this prompt book, so I don't know if I'll do maybe a halfway point, or maybe I'll just do it all at the very end, but we'll see. Maybe I'll do a halfway point because, again, that's 2.5 years until I get to do a tour for just the halfway point. So if I were going to do a tour for the sketchbook, that would be in 5 years. Half of you probably won't even be watching my videos in 5 years. That is crazy to think about. Who knows if I'll even be regularly making YouTube videos in 5 years. That's just crazy in the future. I don't even know where I'll be in 5 years. Making prompt videos? Maybe. Who knows? So because I have so much time to talk, let's talk about my supplies. As I mentioned before, I use the Spectrum Noir Art Liner black pens to outline the illustration. The pencil I use is a Sakura brand mechanical pencil, 0.7. It came in with a pack of Micron pens, so it was kind of like a freebie, and I have been using this pen ever since. No, that's a pencil. I've been using this pencil ever since. It's a good pencil. I got nothing against it. I have nothing that I love about it. It is just a mechanical pencil. It does my drawing. Good job, pencil. For the brushes I use, I have been using Grumbacher Watercolor brushes, which I only just bought a week ago. I've been using a variety of brush brands for a while now, but I started off with about the cheapest brush I could find. Just like anybody else, drawing has been my hobby, but now that it's my job, I thought it would be good to invest in some really good brushes. I like the way they look, I like the way they feel, they're very soft, and I like it. So I am using a 1/4 inch angle brush and a 2 round. The reason why I like the angle brushes so much and I don't like using the flats is because I hold my brush at an angle when I paint, and I really like to get those neat, clean edges. So when I'm going into a corner, if I'm just getting like a small piece, it's nice to have that little angle where the brush comes to like a tip to work with. But then you can also lay the brush flat and you can get a wider brush stroke if you want to fill in a bigger spot. I like the rounds because it's easier to get smaller details, and usually I use a 2, but I didn't buy a 2 for some reason, so I've been using my 4. I need to go get a 2. So I like these brushes. They're expensive, but they do a good job and I like them. Well, I didn't talk enough about the supplies because there's not much to say, and I still have so much talking to do. So what do you think about the intro? It is pretty simple, but I didn't like how long the previous intro was. I am back on the intro. The previous intro was 4 or 5 seconds long, and I thought it kind of drug out a little bit, so I thought it would just be really simple to have a intro where everything went from blurry to clear, and then we got into the prompt, because I like short and sweet. But I haven't decided if I want to use a theme song or if I want to use different songs that do the intro every time. It's something I'm still playing around with, so I suppose we'll get there eventually. Either way, I wanted to keep the intro simple, though honestly I wish I did have more time to play around with maybe animations or something. But maybe on episode 101 I will have some sort of animated ant intro. Who knows what I'll do? That's in a year and I can't even believe it. So because we are finally in the shading stage of the illustration, let's talk about that. Usually I don't do this sort of textured illustrating shadow style, but sometimes I do it if I want a bit of texture. Like I mentioned, I didn't like how plain this was, even though I did want a simple illustration. I thought it would be more interesting to get a sort of texture, so what I like to do with my angle brush is I just get some watercolor on it and then I just tap it a lot and create a texture, and I really like the way it adds just a little bit of a texture, not too much, but it is, I guess, a little more visually interesting than just having a flat stroke. So this is sort of an illustration where I was kind of playing around with, and I'm not completely happy with how the textured shading ended up on the plant. I do wish I did a flat stroke with the Venus Flytrap, but you know what? Lesson learned. In the future, I won't add texture to a plant. I was just playing around with this because it was a very simple illustration, and you know how I always feel guilty about doing simple illustrations for the prompts, so I thought I would add some texture in there. Maybe it would make up for it, but I don't think that quite did it for me. Here's a poll idea. Have you ever owned a Venus Flytrap? I went through a bit of a plant phase when I moved out on my own, and I thought my room and my workstation were really boring and plain, and I wanted some houseplants. So of course I tried to get succulents because I've heard those are easy to work with, and they're very simple and cute, and I like their style, but I kept killing them, so I thought I would also try to get a Venus Flytrap because they're pretty cool and they're with the succulent section, so why not? I bought me a Venus Flytrap and it started to die immediately. I've also heard that they're pretty picky and hard to take care of because you have to use filtered water, or maybe not filtered water, but something even crazier. I forgot what it's called, but basically I wasn't committed to that sort of level, so my dude died. So unfortunately, I didn't even get to see him grow any, or even eat anything for that matter. I have to admit, my throat and mouth are starting to get tired from all this talking. I don't normally talk this much. I also don't even know how I've been talking for this long because I have trouble enough getting through a 7-minute video and filling it with audio. Here's something I can talk about. I've been wanting to get more involved with the community, so I thought it would be fun to get people to play along with the prompts and draw along, but no one was really getting into it a few months ago when I suggested it, so I was a little bummed. But with this whole new season 2 of 500 drawing prompts, I thought it would be interesting to get you guys even more involved with it. This is my idea. If you want to get your drawing featured at the end of the video during those last 20 seconds, send me a drawing of the previous prompt. So right now I am doing the Venus Flytrap and hot dog prompt. So go ahead and draw your own version of what you think you would have done for the Venus Flytrap and hot dog. I know I get a lot of comments of people saying, oh, you should have did this. If I did the prompt, I would have done that. Well, that's great. Guess what? Now you can do that. If you had an idea, you should draw it. So basically my idea is if you want to draw this Venus Flytrap and hot dog, draw it, send it to me via Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, hashtag Kasey the prompt, and I will look through those and pick however many I can fit within those 20 seconds at the end frame. During that screen, I will have as many as I can pick up. Maybe I'll do random, maybe I'll pick my favorites, and I will have your prompts in the next video. So this video is going up on January the 24th on a Wednesday, so you will see your version of Hot Dog and Venus Flytrap on the prompt on Wednesday the 31st of January. Do you get it? Am I explaining that correctly? Basically, I want to get you guys more involved. I want to see your ideas come to life. I don't want to just see my ideas. I don't want to just hear your ideas in the comments. I want to see your ideas come to life in your own style. I will also be including fan art of the prompts that I did. So if you want to just do the same characters I created, like when I did the superhero one with the colorful girl smacking the black and white mime in the face, if you just want to draw those characters, as long as the prompts that were given in that prompt are present in the illustration, you can do fan art of my sort of illustration. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Basically, I'm really excited to push my channel to be more interactive with you guys, and yeah, I thought that would be a really fun idea for you guys to get creative. A lot of people are always asking me, what do I draw? What should I draw? Just draw my prompt, and maybe you can see yourself featured on the next video, and it will be fun. So for this video, I just asked a few friends and a few close people that if you have an idea for the last prompt, give me an illustration and I will throw it up at the end of this video, just as an example. But anyways, enough about that. Should we talk about the art right now? Something that I need to get into is gouache. I have been wanting to try gouache for months and months, if not over a year at this point. I've always thought that my digital art style would fit gouache the best, even over watercolor. But it's not something I've ever tried. I'm just kind of scared of trying new mediums. The reason why I bring this up is because when I was putting the ketchup and mustard on this guy, obviously watercolor isn't the most opaque medium, so I was having trouble putting this mustard and ketchup on top of this plant. I wanted it to look like the plant was part of the hot dog, so at first I was putting the mustard up and over the little needle parts. But because the mustard wasn't, you know, opaque enough, you could barely see it, and honestly, it kind of looks stupid, but whatever. It's okay. I'm okay with it. And of course, I had to drip mustard and ketchup all around the plant because having this plain white background was so boring that even adding some drips of a mustard and ketchup just made it a little bit more interesting than having that plain white background, because that is so boring. Shame on me for doing that. Phew. So I cannot believe that I have been talking for over 20 minutes. My throat is tired, my mouth is tired, and I absolutely have nothing else to say. So as usual, I will ask you guys, what did you think of this editing style? Everything was in real time. Probably not going to do this for a long time because I can't imagine this being too interesting, but I thought I would do it one time because why not? A whole real-time video is something that I never see myself doing, so I might as well take an opportunity where I'm doing a very simple illustration to do it. So what do you guys think? Here's a poll. Did you hate it? Did you love it? Don't worry, I'm not going to make this a habit, but if you found it interesting to be done one time, great. That's nice to know. If you absolutely hated it, please let me know. Just in case I think about doing this again, at least I will say, wait, nope, they hated it. So again, if you are just now popping in because you didn't want to listen to 20 minutes of me talking, if you want to draw this hot dog and Venus flytrap, you can draw it, send it to me with the hashtag Kasey the prompt, and I will be picking some people to put at the end slate. So get out there, do some drawing, and make me proud. Oh, I did forget one last thing that I ended up adding was some shiny marks to the ketchup and mustard because they're probably going to be very reflective. So I used a jelly roll from Sakura, and honestly, I wasn't having the best time with it because the watercolor was just being picked up and put into the jelly roll pin because, I don't know, I guess it got reactivated because it's watercolor. So that was really hard to put down the shines and it was a little frustrating, but using these jelly rolls isn't something I'm ever doing. I almost never think about adding a little shiny shine mark, so I thought I would add this in there. So that is something I did, so fun times, fun times. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. If you got through the whole 25 minutes of audio, congratulations. Really, wow. Number one. If you are just now skipping to the end, you missed some important stuff. I talked about some very important things, some updates. Other than that, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! A big thank you to everyone who quickly drew a drawing really quick for this video. It was a very last minute idea, and I just wanted a few drawings for an example. Look at these wonderful drawings. These are from the last prompt, Beehive and Helicopter. I can't wait to see what you guys do with Hot Dog and Venus Flytrap.